If I ever hear you, if Candace ever tell me anything like you gave him it some respect, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do to you? Huh? Well, I'm gonna whoop that butt. You understand me? I'm gonna come over to the house and whoop it. That's what John needs to do. You need something on your butt because you're too fast. You understand me? And you're gonna have to start listening to grown folks. John is a grown man. Okay? And you start treating him like that. He's more of a daddy to you than your daddy is. You understand that? When the last time you seen your daddy? Yeah. But when the last time you seen John? Well, you better start appreciating him, boy, because that pissed me off when Candace tell me that you don't respect John.
Take care of a family and
All right. We're gonna go ahead and talk about anything we want to. How y'all doing, guys? This is old school Will, and I got my friend over here, Mo, he's gonna hammer me on a lot of questions that he's had on his mind, and he never thought he was gonna come over and lay into me. So I'm here to answer whatever questions he's got and probably throw a few more back at him. So Mo, I want you to go ahead and get it started.
all right. How you doing, Will?
Doing fine.
Good. This is Mo from Orchard Pit Talk, and I'm happy to be here with Will, and definitely appreciate his channel and listening to his topics and conversations as I'm starting mine off and learning more from him also. We have a lot of questions today about what it's like growing up, being a father or without a father, among many other topics. And I guess the question is that, did you grow up with your dad, and if you did grow up with him, what was it like, and then what was it not? If he was around, what was it like? Or if he wasn't around, what was it like in your thoughts?
Well, from back what I remember, and I guess I have to throw out my age and the decade I was born in, the years I was born in, which was back in the 50s. So being brought up in that era, I had an opportunity to see a lot. Segregation and racism and poverty, because that was part of my life as far as what I can remember. I remember Mom used to, my father passed away, my biological father passed away. Mom was on her own. And because of that, we used to get, subsidies from the government cheese, powdered milk, powdered eggs, all that powdered stuff. Oh boy, I remember those days. And I come from a family of another brother and another sister, so it was three of us along with my mom. But the neighborhood I lived in, which was, I'm not gonna give out my neighborhood, but the neighborhood I lived in was segregated, with all black. Dirt roads, chickens, horses, all that good stuff that you probably see on TV and thought that people today probably wouldn't live through stuff like that, but we did. But it was hard. It was hard for my mom, and I know that. At least I knew that back at the time. She came up as a beautician, and she did everything she could to help us and raise us. And as far as I'm concerned, although she's not here today, she did an excellent job.
I noticed that, I was raised in a single parent home also, and I used to envy my friends who had both parents at the house.
Right.
And I came up later, my mom raising me, she was head of the household. And I guess that my dad I knew him, but wasn't really in my life. And she was head of the household. And I think that's a problem today, that today, even in black films and black movies, who we basically see praying at the table and head at the table are black women.
Right.
And I think that has a profound effect on us today, as even our women, as trusting someone to lead the household because they had to.
Right.
And when I watched my mom have men come over, whether they were my uncle biological or not, some of them was the ones bringing the greens over or doing this and doing favors. So she did the best she could do. And I guess that I had to learn how to forgive our parents because that's all they knew that they were being taught in the average black community was to work, come home, you better get good grades. But it really wasn't invested into the child. So I came off of the end of the powdered eggs, and I was the last generation to be desegregated, actually.
So whatever era were you born in? I was born in the 50s. Where were you, in the 70s? 70s. Okay, so you're about 20 years behind me.
Yeah.
But I remember my grandmother. Well, she was a sweet, sweet person. I remember one time she took us downtown Houston, and we went by the buses we had out in the neighborhood, which we call the Acre Shakers. Old raggedy buses, but they got us from Acres Home to downtown. And this one thing I definitely remember is when we got downtown, we went into a store called Woolworth, and we had to go downstairs and into, I guess, to the basement, but we had to go around back. We didn't go to the front part. We went around back to get to the basement.
Really?
And I remember she took me down there and she bought me a toy. I can't remember what the toy was, but that part I do remember. I remember the white, had your different your separated water fountain. Blacks drink here and whites drink there. And I remember a lot of the name calling that we were called back in the day. The N word, which I totally despise, and I'm just really shocked at how we just throw that word around like it's nothing. But things back in that era, they were bad, but they weren't as bad as they are today, from what I remember.
So you're talking about less than about 20 years, because you're the same age as my mom and my pops.
Right.
And you talking about then to where you had to go through the back door.
Oh yeah.
You had different fountains.
Yeah.
That wasn't too far from me being a child.
No, not at all.
And that's crazy because, wow, because I think about it when my mom and them was working, or me looking for a job, becoming a teenager. And even though I was qualified, I had white friends, I had Asian friends and black friends and Latino friends. And they would get jobs and they were like, Mo, I know you're smart. You can get this job. You can do this and do that. But it was funny, I wasn't being hired.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy. And me listening to you say that, I remember when I was the last in Detroit, Michigan, Coleman A. Young Middle School, elementary.
Right.
And he was one of the first black mayors in Detroit. And we were being desegregated into Redford and Redford Township of Michigan.
Right.
And I was in an all-black elementary school, and when we went they transferred us to Redford Township. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't hear the N-word in my household.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I heard the N-word was when we were, the teacher used to be able to take us out of class and we did something good. We walked to the stores and the Dairy Queen and stuff like that. When the world was sad, but still a little bit safer to walk your children.
Right.
And some guys was in a Jeep, turned around and said, hey, look at the little iglets.
Mm-hmm.
He said, hey, little iggers. And I didn't know what that was. And then when I saw the look on the teacher's face, that's what made me cry.
Right.
She looked scared.
Right.
And she pushed all us behind her.
Right.
We talking in the 70s.
Yes.
Which really isn't that far.
Mm-mm.
So when I had a chance to see that, and I went home and I said, Mama, what is a, and I gotta say it, I hate to say it. I said, Mom, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
She said, where you get that from? I said, what is it? And my uncle came, she said, let your uncle explain it to you, because my dad went around.
Right.
She said, my uncle came and he said, well, this is what it meant. And I started crying when he expressed it to me, because he said, they don't respect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I never heard y'all say it in a house. He said, we say it, but we don't say it around you.
Right.
And then he said, I'm gonna teach you the real world. So that's when he started seeing it. I realized they was calling one another that.
That's right. And look at what we're doing to each other today.
And look at what we're doing today.
We are following people that we shouldn't have any business following. We look at these rappers and all of these individuals on these TV programs that we look up to. And why do we look up to it? It's like the blind leading the blind. They just blatantly throw that word out there and they put it in their rap tunes, and everybody thinks it's okay to use that N word. But I'm here to tell you it's not okay. There are a lot of people that suffered in those days, whether in segregation. I remember my elementary school, it was all segregated. My high school, it was all segregated until I think it was the 70s. Because I graduated in the early 70s. And then it became integrated after, well, right about the same time I graduated. But these people throw that word around. I mean, people died. They hung. I don't know if I can use that word upon. I'm probably have to edit that part out. But people were, their lives were terminated, so to speak, in those era behind a lot of different things. I look at the Emmett Till deal. His time was expired just by whistling at a white person, a white female.
Yeah.
And he was taken out, he was kidnapped, taken out, and his life was expired. These are things that we're trying, some people are trying so hard for us not to learn today. And that's our history, that's how things got started. And that's why I see so much ignorance today, with especially with our race, using that word just so blatantly. And it's wrong. It is totally wrong. If our ancestors could see what this generation is doing today, they wouldn't approve of it.
No, I agree. They wouldn't approve of it. I had this conversation around my black friends, because I have many friends in different nationalities, and I asked them, I said, why y'all calling each other that? And they said, well, I remember a rapper said, well, they reinvented it. And I said, how did you reinvent it? Because me, I'm a poet, and I study, and I look at history and study it. And I said, if you look in history, they said, we don't use the ER. I said, well, it wasn't just the ER being used on it. It was AH, Iglets, Iga. AH and just an A on it. And like I told him, I said, listen, don't call me that, because I don't allow any of my black friends or associates to call me that. If I don't tolerate that word, I don't tolerate it, period. So when you hear someone say that, they said, we reinvented it. I said, how did you reinvent it? He said, well, they had it negative and we turned it to a positive. I said, well, positive, the word.
Right, we gotta watch those words too.
Yeah, and gotta watch those words. But when somebody's being insulted,
That too.
can you give them a new title of that? Can you give them?
Hold on 1 second. All right, guys. Unfortunately, we had to, at least I had to kind of stop that video to get a few things straight as far as how YouTube expect us to perform. In other words, as you know, there are certain words that we cannot use, and I had to take a break to make sure that my counterpart there kind of knew the rules and regulations. But anyhow, as you see that this is a very intense conversation that we are having. And if you enjoy the conversation so far, stand around for part 2. And then there's a part 3. But we found out that speaking the way we are now, as far as fathers and, well, I guess old school fathers, and the things that we're seeing today, my friend and I decided that we wanted to come out and we wanted to let you know or explain things, how things used to be in comparison with how things are today. And whether you like it or not, we tend to seem to need to go back to old school ways as far as rectifying a lot of the problems that we're having today. So if you would, this is a very intense topic that my friend Mo and I are having, and all the gloves are off. So if you're enjoying this first section of it, this first part of it, stand around for part 2, which is, I'm going to upload it It's already made, but I'm gonna upload it in a day or two, and then part three. I'm gonna try to get it all in there within this coming week. So with all that being said, you guys have a blast out there, and don't get freaked out and let all of this stuff worry you to death. We'll get through it. We always do. As long as we have God on our side, we're good to go. So with all that being said, hang around for part two. It gets real interesting. You guys stay blessed.